Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial. Today we will be building this calculator app by using Flutter and Dart. So basically we will design the user interface, the UI, by using the Flutter widgets, and then we will be adding some Dart code to add the logic so we can do the mathematical operations and getting the result. I hope you enjoy this tutorial and let's get started. Alright, so I created a new Flutter project, deleted everything so we can start from scratch. And now, first thing first, let's import our Flutter package. Then I will create my main function, which will run an app. We will call it my app. And I will create this class, which will be a stateless widget, my app. I will delete the container and instead we will be returning a material app. The home will be another class. We will call it calculator. And now let's create this calculator class, which will be a stateful widget. So calculator. Okay. And I also want to change the container into a scaffold widget. So let's run this. So if we open the emulator, okay, we have this white screen, which is the scaffold, and we also have this debug banner on top. So let's delete that. Debug false. Let's save. Okay, so it's gone. Now let's take a quick look to our final design. So as you see, we aligned the widgets vertically, so obviously we will be using a column. This text right here will show us the result. Then we will be creating these buttons. The buttons with the number will have this white color. The operations will have this orange color. For the background, we will be using a dark color, and this color of the background will be the same color of the buttons itself. So a column widget, and then we will be group each 4 buttons into a row. Okay, so now let's get started. Now the body of my scaffold will be a container, and I want the container to have the whole area of the screen. So I will set the width to media query dot context dot of dot size dot width, and the same for the height. This will give our container the whole area of the width and height of the screen. So height. Now for the color, like I said, we will be using the same color for the background and for the buttons. So I will define it as a variable color bg color, and we will be using a hex code. So 0xff, and it will be 060606. So this will give us this dark color. I also want to create the text color 0xff da d9 da. Okay, and for the math color, this will be 0xff d6 3c 07. Okay, so now we will set. So now we will be setting the color for my container to the BG color. So color BG color. So now if I save, as you see, we have this black color. Okay. Now for the child for our container, this will be a column widget. So column, it will have children. The first child will be a text widget, and this one will be the result. So we will set it to 0 for now. We want to style it with the text style. Change the font size to something big, let's say 75, and the color will be the text color which is this white color. So now if I save, as you see, this is the text that I created. Now let me wrap my scaffold widget with another widget, which will be the save area. Okay, so now our widgets are on the save area of the screen. I also want to start my widgets from the right side and then push them to the left. So I will change the cross-axis alignment for my column, which is the horizontal axis, to end. And now if I save, as you see, it's start now from the end, which is the right, and then get pushed to the left if we added another widget. And I also want to wrap my column with a padding, and this will have a padding. I want it to be just from the sides, so symmetric, horizontal, with the amount of 10 pixels. So now if I save, it's get pushed a little bit. Now I want to create a space from the top before the number. So before my text widget, I want to create a size box. And the size box is basically nothing, it's just an empty space. So I will give it the height of 100, and this will push my text. I also want to create another size box beneath my text, and this will have the height of 60. Okay, now let's create our buttons. We will be using a raised button, and on the raised button we have the onPressed method. We will leave it empty for now. Now the color of my raised button will be the same PG color. The shape, I want to have the circular border shape. The child will be a text widget, and the first one will be this AC. So let's type AC. We also want to style this text, so text style. The font will be 40 pixels, and the color, this is a math operation button, so we will be using the math color. So now if I save, okay, as you see, this is our button. Now we want to give this raised button a border color. So to change that, in my circular color, I will change the side property, border side, and the border side accept a color and a width. I only want to change the color to colors.gray with the amount of 900 pixels. So now if I save, this is, I hope you can see it, this is the color of the border. But the text is larger than the default padding, the default size of the raised button, so I will change its padding and give it the edge insets.all with the amount of let's say 15 pixels. Okay, so that's better. Now remember, my raised button will be in a row, so a row, children, and inside the children I will copy this raised button to here. So this is no longer needed. Now if I save, nothing is happening before it's only going to the other side because we set it to the end. Now what I have to do now is I have to copy this raised button as many times as we want to create buttons, and logically this is not incorrect. It will work after we finish it, but the code will be so long. So instead of doing that, what I will be doing, I will be extracting this widget, which is another fancy way to say that I want to create a function that returns this raised button. So now if I copy that, let's copy that, and here I want to create a function that returns a widget. We will call it math button, and we want to return this raised button. So now if I deleted my raised button and instead of that I used the math button and hit save. Oh wait, I have some error. Oh yeah, we have to add a semicolon in the end. So now if I save, hot reload, and it works fine. Now the problem is that each button will have a different text. So logically we can't create many functions as the buttons because it will be so complicated and so long. So instead of do that, in the parameters of my function, I will pass a string, let's call it text, and then I will set the text right here with the dollar sign of the text. So now, as you see, there is an error here because it's expecting a string now. If I pass a string, which is the AC, and hit save, as you see, it's working perfectly. Okay, so now I will be adding another math button. So math button. This one will have the plus minus. So hit save. Okay. And another math button. This one will have the mood. And the last one will be the division. Okay. This is perfect. Now, the last thing I want to change is I want to have some space between each button, and I want to have this space to be equally from all the buttons and from all the sides. And to do that, all I have to do is on the row for the main axis alignment, which is the horizontal axis, I will set it to space evenly. So now if I hit save, as you see, there is an even space between each button and from the button and the two sides of the row. Okay. The last thing I want to do is I want to wrap my row with a padding, and this one will have the padding of the vertical value because I want to have some spacing between each row. So symmetric, vertical, and let's set it to 10. So now if I save, and after the padding, let me copy this and paste it. So now if I hit save, there is this another row that we created. Now I have to change the values right here, but if you remember, the number buttons have this white color. So I can change the color from here. So instead of that, I will be creating another widget as the same of this. And I will call this the num button. And the only thing I want to change is the color will be the text color. So now if I save and change this, the second row, this will be a num button. So this will be 9. Okay. This will also be a num button. 8. Seven. And this will stay math, but we will be changing it to multiply. Okay. Now let's copy this one into 2 times. I will only change the value to 6, 5, 4, minus 3, 2, 1, and plus. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now for the last row, it will be something a little bit different than this. If we look to our design, we will have only 3 buttons instead of 4, but the 0 button will have this different shape than the shape of the raised button. So to create this, I will also create a row, and of course children, the cross axis will also, the main axis. The main axis will also have space evenly, so main axis alignment dot space evenly. Okay, now the first children, which will be the 0 button, I will create that by using the container because I want to customize the width and height. So for the width, I will give it, let's say 200 pixels. For the height, it will be 80 pixels. And for the decoration, we will be setting the box decoration. The color will be the same color of the background, so BG color. The border, we will be using the border property dot all, so we can give it the same color, which is this gray color. So color dot gray, the amount of 900. Also, we want to make it circular, so border radius, circular border radius with the amount of 50. Okay, so now if I save, as you see, this is my button. Now the child for my container will also be a text, 0. We want to style it with the same style of the other buttons, so text style. The color will be the text color because it's a number, and the font size will also be 40. So now if I save, this is my text. Now I want, of course, this text to be in the center, so I can either wrap my text to a center widget, or there is another property in the container which calls the alignment. So align directional to center. So now if I hit save, it's in the center. And now after the container, I have to add my math buttons. So math button, the first one will be the dot. Save. Okay, and the second one will be the equal sign. Okay, and I think we are done, but let's add some padding, I guess, between these two elements, because yeah, the previous rows have some padding. So let me also wrap this with a padding, and we will give it the same amount. So symmetric, vertical, 10 pixels. Hit save, and as you see, this is our calculator. So like I said, this is only a UI design. In the next video, we will be adding our Dart code so we can do the logic and we can apply the mathematical operations and of course getting the result. So thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.